Okay, we're back, we're live, we're here on Monday. Monday is always special. That's with a capital S, gentlemen. Okay, Quinn Vittum, Executive Director of Reuse Hawaii, and Daniel Murren, the CFO of Reuse Hawaii.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming down here. Thanks for your patience and your good nature and all those things. We have followed Reuse Hawaii for a long time. We had a radio show, as you remember, Quinn, way back, 7 or 8 years ago, on Hawaii Public Radio about Reuse Hawaii. And never forget that. I don't know, left a big impression on me because it was such a bright idea, such a great idea. In fact, you were way ahead of your time back then, you know. Sustainability, people couldn't even spell it yet, you know. And now, look at you.
Oh,
So
thanks.
I want to find out what's going on with Reuse Hawaii, get an update, okay? The last I remember is you had this really impressive yard in Kaka'ako near the Children's Museum there, sort of toward the water. And Kaka'ako has been through so many changes there and everywhere else, but you're still there. And I want to know what the company is like, how big you are. So tell us about Reuse Hawaii. Why don't you start?
Great, thanks, Jay. So Reuse Hawaii is a nonprofit organization dedicated to waste reduction, and we focus on building materials since they make up about 1/3 of Hawaii's waste. So we have two main programs: deconstruction services, where we disassemble buildings as an alternative to conventional demolition, so we can save all the material and take it back to our warehouse, where it's redistributed to anybody, the general public, at fractions of the cost of comparable
What's
new
a fraction?
material. Well, the biggest example is lumber. It's maybe half of what you would spend if you went to buy it at a hardware store.
But why do I want to buy used lumber? It's used. Aren't there little buggies in it and things that I don't really want to have? Doesn't it have mold?
No,
is it
no.
dirty?
Yeah.
There are little germ things in there? Why would I buy used lumber?
Actually, a lot of our lumber is milled from old growth trees. So it's CVG, clear vertical grain, so no knots in it. It's really superior
It's better.
lumber. Yeah, so like we salvage it from framing of old houses, and now people are using it as a finished product, building furniture even.
So what you're telling me is lumber doesn't really get old. Good lumber in the right place that doesn't got termite issues or
Right.
whatever other kinds of issues, and you can tell at a glance, yeah. That lumber will be really fine for your new house, right?
Right, yeah, perfect.
This is an important principle.
Especially all the redwood, because the redwood's really, really useful for Hawaii because it's resistant to termites anyway, and it's incredible material that was milled from redwood trees that were really special. So not only is it important to keep out of the landfill, but also it's a tremendous resource.
Does treated make a difference? In other words, if you find, and I guess you can find by looking at, I don't know, the color of the lumber and all that, that it's been treated against termites or what have you, then is that better or worse? You like that, or you not
Yeah,
like
I
that?
mean, with the Douglas fir, that some of it's treated, and that tends to be a bit newer than the redwood, but a lot of it's just straight, just untreated lumber.
Okay,
that we
so
get
you
from
really
old
have to have an
houses.
eye for wood to do this.
Yeah, and a lot of our customers do. So yeah, a lot of savvy people out there that reuse the material.
Okay, I got so many questions, Anyways, all right, so I interrupted you. You were telling me the kinds of things you pick up. Lumber was one of them.
Lumber, yeah, and the affordability of it all.
Yeah.
And Daniel can tell us about kind of our staff maybe. And
Yeah, I'd like to know
where
about
we're
the
at with
staff.
that.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, we're a fairly small operation, but big for us. We have about 30 employees.
30 is small? I wish we had 30 here.
Yeah, no, we're actually often surprised that we've grown to that size as well, but still relatively small.
What's the growth been like? I mean, if I looked at you, say, 7 or 8 years ago, what would you have had then, and how have you grown?
Yeah, I mean, we started out with a crew of, I think, 5 people, and Quinn and the other co-founder were the only administrative level employees. So in that time frame, in that last 7 years, yeah, we've expanded to about 29 to 30 people.
Wow. When you say staff, though, you mean these are the guys who go out and
Yeah.
they take the lumber or whatever
They
it
do
is
the
out of the
work.
house, they do the work.
Yeah, we
It's
have
physical work.
typically 2 crews at any given time, 2 to 3 crews at any given time in the field, taking apart houses. And then we have a staff at the warehouse that is managing the material. We have a processing department where they denail and make the lumber available and ready for reuse. And then Quinn and myself and a program developer who helps go out and find new projects. So that's our.
So let me ask you this, I have so many questions. You know, CFO, you will be able to tell me the business model, right?
I
hope
better be
so.
able
I
to.
really hope so.
Yeah, well, I mean, our business model, first and foremost, it's really important, we feel, to make it known that we're a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so we are not a for-profit business. So that already informs a lot of the decisions and things that we do differently
yes,
than a
thank you for that.
for-profit business.
501c3.
Yes, we're a public
That's the
charity.
best, that's the cream.
It's the great, yeah.
The top of the line.
Yeah, that's right. And so, but we try and we strive to be self-sustaining from our operations, from our program revenues, and we're able to do that pretty well. We're at this point, we're operating at about 95% of our costs we can cover from our operations, and we have to still fundraise and get contributed support from about 5% of our budget. We've been very fortunate to get that from a variety of foundations and individual donors over the years.
So the idea is to buy low and sell high. Where have I heard this before? So when you go out and you're buying that lumber, you know.
We don't buy it. We go out, we're contracted to do we're a licensed demolition contractor.
So you don't actually buy it from
No,
the
we-
old house, you take it from the old
We go
house.
and we take the houses apart, we dismantle
Is
them.
any payment, any money pass hands on that?
Yeah, Quinn could probably
Yeah,
tell the model
so there's a
little
fee
better.
for the deconstruction, and sometimes it's, you know, equivalent or even cheaper than the cost of conventional demolition.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's higher too, it depends on the site. And then at the end of the year, the homeowner gets a tax deduction for the value of all the salvage material.
Because he's contributing it to a 501c3.
Right.
Ah,
Yeah.
beautiful, great idea.
So it works out really well, especially for homeowners, and we're seeing more and more homeowners that care about the waste issue, want to keep good material out of the landfill and make it a community resource.
And save money.
And save money, yeah, so.
Demolition's expensive, isn't it? I mean, if you have regular commercial demolition, I remember, I
Yeah.
used to practice law, and I remember those guys were not cheap.
Right, right.
So and it surprises you because all they're doing is busting things up. I mean, actually, you know, they should pay you for the psychic benefit of busting things up. You take those big hammers out there, and wow, that gives you a pleasure in your heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that doesn't count anymore.
Depends on the material.
For some
yeah.
people it does. Some people, some people actually really connect with that.
Those are the employees you want to find.
Exactly.
The ones who need to do that.
Yes, it is.
I'm only kidding. I'm sure all you people are very nice.
So yeah, so the houses. So again, we're paid to render the house or the structure reusable, or as much of it as we can, and then they donate that material back to the organization, and that's where that tax deduction comes in. Now, some people choose and have chosen to retain their material and use it in their rebuild, whatever their.
So you only help them in the demolition aspect, and you leave it on their lot and all that.
In those instances, yes.
Yeah.
But the majority do donate the material to us, and that's then what we have down at our retail warehouse in Kaka'ako. It's where we make that material available for other folks.
So, okay, the 501c3, going back to the business model, donation is the material when they give it to you.
Right.
But what you charge them for the service of taking it apart,
Right.
that's fee for service.
Right.
That's unrelated business income or something. It's not a charitable thing anymore.
No.
They're paying you for
for
your
a service.
effort to come around.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
that is actually a smaller amount of money, right? Because, or maybe it isn't.
Well, smaller than what?
Than the value of the materials you
Oh,
take
yeah.
out.
Depends on the project, but.
Quite often it is, though. Yeah, it does depend on the project. But for a typical you know, single wall, single family home, absolutely, the value of the material is well more than the fees that we charge for the service.
Okay, so now so we get a rounded piece on this. Now you have it. They donated it to you, what have you, and you keep it on your lot You only have the one lot in Kakako, or are there more than just
No,
one?
Just that.
yeah,
Okay,
Colorado. Yeah.
and I guess you have to protect it against the elements, or maybe not? Put something on it, or
Some
it doesn't, it
things.
can be outside, doesn't
Depends on
matter?
the items. Lumber is fine being out in the elements.
Yeah.
Some of the finer, the redwood and some of the other lumbers we do keep indoors, but all the non-structural material, the lighting fixtures, cabinets, sinks, all that type
Pipes.
of. Yeah, all the what we call non-structural material is
Yeah.
what's housed inside our warehouse.
Because that might rust in
Yeah,
the
we want
weather.
it out of the elements.
Yeah, so it's only a few feet from the ocean anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have it there, and you have a business model on the other side. Now, somebody says, I'm building a house, and I really, I want to save money, but I also understand that it is just as good or better to use these reused materials. Not only the philosophical, but for the aesthetic of building the house.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want your stuff, So I or my contractor will come to your lot and look around and see what you got. And then I will pick this, it's like Kawamoto, pick this and pick that. Okay,
Exactly.
and then you are going to deliver that in your truck, am I right? Or do they pick it up?
They
They
pick
pick
it
it
up. Yeah.
Okay, that makes it easier on you.
Yeah.
But the trucks that you have, the moving equipment that you have is for removing,
Yes.
not delivering.
Yes, we
Okay.
have a full trucking arm of our operation that brings all the material back from the projects. They're usually doing 2 loads from each project a day on average, probably.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Are you busy?
Be very busy.
It's been great, yeah,
So
we
it's
just finished.
5 days a week, 6 days a week?
Well, the decon's Monday through Friday, and then the warehouse is open 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday.
6 days.
And what's the delay? If I call you today, if I call you right now, if I call you right now, and I say, guys, come down, I want to bust this place up, how long will it take for you to get down?
To come take a look, or to come
Take it down.
deconstruct?
In your own
Tell
words?
them how it works, Quinn.
So, a lot of homeowners call us directly, but we do work with general contractors that, work with us on a consistent basis.
So that would
to
be a
serve-
reasonable thing for me to do as the owner of a home. I'd say, look, this is my idea, I want to reuse Hawaii.
Right.
So I tell my contractor,
Exactly.
talk to them, call
Yeah.
them up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Adam Bensley, project developer, comes out, surveys the site, talks to the client more about how decon works. And then we generate a deconstruction proposal, which outlines how long the deconstruction would take, how much it costs, and then there's usually more information about the tax deduction. On the whole houses, the tax deduction is well over $5,000, which is the threshold that the IRS wants a third party to assign the value. So Adam helps get some third party to assign
One
an
third
initial
party or
value.
more than one?
Just 8 third
One.
party.
A third
Yeah.
party, that would be,
Yeah.
that's sufficient for them.
Yeah.
So when you file your tax return, you're going to have evidence of that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay, we'll take a short break now because we're one segment into the program. We'll come back, and I still want to find out how you determine the price by which you sell it
Sure.
to the ultimate client. Okay.
Great.
Okay, that's Quinn Vittum, Executive Director of Reuse Hawaii, and Daniel Murren, CFO of Reuse Hawaii. This is Community Matters, and they do. Or maybe Community Matters, and it does. We're talking about Reuse Hawaii and waste reduction in construction in Hawaii. We'll be right back. We're here with Hunter Haviland because he is a member of our panel on February 26th. We're going to talk about Hawaii, the state of unfunded liabilities. Hi, Hunter.
Hi, Jay.
So what does it look like from your point of view, being on that panel?
Well, part of my work is with the Asia Pacific Center for Regenerative Design. And so with that, we're kind of taking a broader notion of when we talk about liabilities, what are some of the external factors, right? So if we're talking about sustainability across the globe, resilience to natural disasters, our use of natural resources, and how those things do or don't get incorporated into our current understandings of the state of the state.
Yeah, and thus the liabilities and thus the economy. So that's February 26th. It's a Thursday. It's at Laniakea. It starts at 12 noon. Come down 11:30 for lunch. Check out our website to sign up, thinktechhawaii.com. Hunter is one of 7 speakers. We'll be trying to talk to some of the others too, let you know what they're going to do. And sign up. We'll see you there. It'll be important. It's one of the most important things we can think of. Aloha. Back. Matters. We're talking about waste reduction and construction in Hawaii with Quinn Vittum and Daniel Murren of Reuse Hawaii, a very exciting company, which still, is just bursting with innovation, bursting with good things. It's like so wholesome. So anyway, on the other side now, your business model on the other side. So here I am, I'm the guy that's building the house or maybe remodeling the house. I'm on building materials, and I call you up and I say, how about some building materials? I want to put oak paneling in my library.
Right.
So if you have it, you're going to have it in sufficient quantity. It's got to be sufficient quantity. How do you set the price on that?
Well, that's one of the big challenge with what we do, because all the material is so different. It's not a consistent inventory. So we have inventory specialists that work in the back that
Employee of the company.
Yeah, their full-time position is to evaluate the value at Reuse Hawaii for certain items. So lumber is a little bit easier. We've developed sort of a metric for figuring out how much dimensional lumber and trim should be. Same thing with redwood wall boards. But yeah, it's the, like today an Art Deco door came in, entry door. And it's like, so what we do on that is a fun exercise where we get as many staff that are around to hooey in and give a number. And then, but everyone has to think of the number first, and then maybe we can take the average. So
That's a really good idea. It's like an auction.
Right.
So sort of mental auction.
Yeah. So that's a good way to address the really tricky
They're
items.
not biased or anything.
Usually not. Yeah, we pick the
They
right
don't care.
staff.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't affect their pay.
The bias is interesting. If there is a bias, the bias is often we want to. Our goal is to get that material back in use. So while we're always mindful of our bottom line financially, we also really do think of our mission fulfillment as the other bottom line that really matters to us. So we don't want to be warehousing items. We're not trying to hold on to them forever and get the most money that we can for them. We want them back in use in the community.
Yeah.
So if there's a bias, there's definitely that bias. And then also, in addition to that methodology, we do research. There's this thing called the internet that is very useful and
I've heard
helpful.
of that.
And we do a lot of, as much as possible, research on what materials go for new, and then we kind of gauge them from there. But sometimes and quite often, there's very unique things that it's hard to find, and we just have to go with, again, so then we go through the matrix of what is our customer base, what is the likelihood that this will appeal to someone, and how can we make sure that it gets out there and in use again.
Oh.
Hello?
Just a minute. I want to reuse this phone. Okay.
So yeah, so that's the general, we talk about it as it's a bit of an art and a science, the pricing of our materials, and that's how we approach it.
Something you said makes me wonder, you have a lot, and I've seen a lot. I thought the lot was, what?
Pretty good size.
Is it big?
36,000 square feet.
So
yeah.
that's almost an acre, well, 3/4 of an acre, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that enough space for you in your current, volume of business?
Yeah, right now it is.
Yeah, but it may not be forever. I'm
If
sure
we're
you're using,
succeeding with greater frequency, then it could easily become not enough.
Yeah.
But we've got actually a lot of space that we can use it.
but what you said is very interesting to me, is you've got to get it off the lot.
Oh, yes.
Because if you went slack on that and you didn't get it off the lot for whatever reason,
Yeah.
you'd run out of space,
Yeah,
and then
filling
things
up.
would be unmanageable at that point.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
sure.
You can only stack it up so high.
Absolutely. We're not interested, again, in warehousing it. We're really focused on how quickly can we get this material back into the community, back in use, out of the landfill. So it's very oriented in that regard, which addresses that issue, hopefully, ideally. We're always succeeding at that.
So the internet research, I think what you're doing is like a public thing, it's like a public benefit.
Sure.
And although, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to give away all your secrets, some of them, hey,
Yeah,
it's okay.
not really too secret. That I can think
Good.
of.
That's a
Called
good
Google.
thing. But, you go to the internet, Okay, I would go to, Lowe's. I would
Yeah.
go to Lowe's and see what they charge per board foot or whatever it is
Right.
for the same kind of thing. And then I would mark it down.
Right.
Instead of marking it up.
Right.
And
Yeah.
when you mark it down, what percentage do you have as your mental?
Well, yeah, with the lumber, it's, like Quinn said, it's anywhere from 50 to 30%
Off
of-
retail
of what
market.
Retail would be.
Retail market.
Now, that being said, we can't underscore enough that quite often the material the lumber especially that we're salvaging, you can't buy at Lowe's, you can't buy at Home Depot because those trees don't exist anymore. They're old growth trees that have been milled, they're gone. There'll never be more wood like that. So there's almost a bit of reverence around that material
Yeah.
because it really is not going to be around again. So
Yeah.
keeping it in use is a big part of
Your
it.
customers know this.
We tell them, yes, we try.
Do they
The
care?
great
They
ones
care
know and
about
they
it.
care, and we're always reminding the ones that aren't aware of it. 'Cause it's-
Especially the woodworkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
you can't find it, so they
Is
really
that
cherish
because the woodworkers have a reverence for it or because it's easier to work the wood?
Both,
it. Both, yeah, right.
yeah. They have an
That's really nice.
appreciation for that, that resource.
Do they pass it along to the customer? Does the customer, when the job is done, does the customer know he's got a tree that isn't
Oh, yes.
available anymore?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's part of the point.
Yeah.
It is really a major point, you're preserving I don't know what it is, it's the heart somehow,
Yeah.
it's a cultural thing.
It's an amazing resource, and yeah, it's also history. We always feel like
Yeah.
there's some element of history being hopefully preserved in what we do.
So that's why you guys follow historical homes,
Yeah.
historic homes.
Oh, yeah. We've done
Like
a
J.R.
few,
Robinson,
haven't
as
we?
we talked about,
Yeah. Right now, we have a lot of material from the Winnie units at Punahou.
Mhm.
They were built in the 50s. It was an Ossipoff design, and some really, really cool items, and that people have a special connection to because they might have gone to school in that very building.
They're coming down, these units are coming
Yeah,
down.
we took 2 of them down, just finished last week, so.
These are old wooden classrooms, is that what it was?
Mhm.
Yeah, we saved all the cubbies. They're all gone. People were just thrilled about the cubbies, and the wall boards and lots of steel I-beams and the sliding glass doors.
A short digression, Quinn, you've been talking about lumber as if you knew a lot about it. How did you get to know so much about lumber?
Oh, well, I've been working with wood and lumber all my life, so grew up building houses with my dad in New England, and then worked in the Seattle area doing architectural salvage, so learned a lot there. Then, been the executive director here, so it's, we're just surrounded by it, so
Yeah.
you have to educate yourself.
Yeah, but you have to feel for it, though, and you do, I'm sure you do. So, what about you, Daniel? Are you into lumber or just into CFO?
I'm into a little bit of both. I'm originally from Northern California. I grew up in these redwood trees that we're helping save. And my father was a woodworker, fine woodworker, and craftsman. So I was always around it. I came to it kind of in an interesting way when I met with Quinn and the original founder. I was there primarily to help with the bookkeeping and the accounting, but over time, my other interests in history came into play more and more. So I definitely have that connection.
Did you see it as a startup, there's a certain mentality
Yeah.
when you're involved in a
Well,
startup.
So this was back, like you had mentioned, it was back in 2006 is when we first started.
Yeah.
It really was. I was interested already in sustainability as an issue. I was working for a nonprofit part-time and also doing for-profit work. But the idea was just really exciting, and for me personally, wanted to be involved with something that was cause-based and feel like I was contributing to the community and not just working for any business doing anything.
The whole thing is cause-based.
It
This
really
company
is.
you're
Yeah.
serious about the
Yeah.
501c3 and all that.
Absolutely, yeah, that's really important. So, so those are the things that drew me to working with Reuse.
So before we finish this segment, I wanted to ask you about, it's an idea, but maybe you've already done it, is I could imagine you finding something in an old building that's really special,
Okay.
that has historic value, that has aesthetic value, that is, you can't find this, and taking that to a black tie dinner, okay, and selling it at an auction, for big bucks. Of course, that would be a contribution by you,
Right.
rather than, Okay, and I can also see you going to an auction house and selling special items to people who care about such things as, again, as an aesthetic matter. Ever done that?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, the majority of our material is, really utilitarian, cut and dry. We do a lot of single wall redwood houses. We're doing one in Kamakee right now. So there's nothing, nothing that's black tie material. But maybe we'll
Hold
keep a
that
look
thought,
at it.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is how do you get your brand out there? Are you advertising? I mean, I love having you on the show,
Yeah.
honestly. You're exactly our kind of show. But how, do you advertise? What do you do?
Word of mouth is, the big one.
Coconut wireless, as they say in Hawaii.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
That's a
okay.
big part of it.
Yeah, so, and, everyone that comes down to the warehouse tells more people. We have a big presence on Facebook. We have banners at our decon site, so people walking by know what's going on. It says another great deconstruction project.
I see this. Another great deconstruction project.
By
You got a
reuse.
picture of that? Oh, we have pictures. We have to show your pictures.
Yeah.
Let's take a short break, and we'll come back and we'll show you pictures. I have to ask you one more thing. Are you guys a general contractor that would enable you to build, or is there a different license for deconstruction? How does that work?
Different license, yeah, we're a specialty contractor for building wrecking, because they don't have the one for deconstruction yet.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Same
we're
thing.
licensed.
So the question is, would you ever see yourself going forward as being a contractor, saying we are going to give you, a high percentage of reusable materials, and we're going to build you a new house, and we're a contractor. Did you ever think of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of other folks in that industry already that that have the capability of doing that. So we're more interested in educating folks on what can be done with the material, so that other people can innovate on the new building side.
Right, it's more important. You have to be the keeper of the special secret.
Yeah. We're
I
the
shouldn't say
resource.
secret.
We're
but-
the resource for
Yeah.
hopefully for those contractors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you want to remain that.
Yeah.
You have the essence of the
Yeah.
whole approach. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to look at your photographs and really find out what's going on
Okay.
at Reuse.
Yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
that's Quinn Vittum, Executive Director of Reuse Hawaii, and Daniel Murren, CFO of Reuse Hawaii, here on Community Matters, talking about waste reduction in construction, and it's a wonderful thing. It really is. It's a mitzvah in Yiddish. It's a mitzvah.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Thanks, Jay.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon, and on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sort of exciting things that we're doing in Hawaii to build and grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on the show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidell. That's Ted Ralston. Ted is the host of Where the Road Leads. It shows every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. It's about technology. It's about how people collaborating and solve problems with modern technology. It's where the road leads. We all know that. We should all be listening. Join us there, 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday. Now, what about that do you agree with?
All of it.
I knew he'd say that. Aloha. Say aloha.
Aloha.
Good.
Aloha, Yappers, and a Happy New Year. I'm your host, King Zilly. From inner city out to the platform and now the Yap Show. It's a new year, and most would say a new beginning. So this is a call to action. As we promote tech, energy, diversification, and globalism, with Think Tech Hawaii, the Yap Show is all about advocacy for effective leadership, comprehensive youth policies, programs, and access to knowledge and information for upward social mobility, especially for the historically underprivileged youth. This means we'll be looking at young people making a difference in their community. Youth policies here in Hawaii, the country, and the world. We want to highlight youth programs that are meeting young people where they are, working together to accomplish a goal or tackle an issue while providing information and access to free educational content for anybody looking to learn on their own time, study for an exam, or simply refresh their memory. We do this by inviting everyday people like yourself state policymakers, youth advocacy groups, youth programs, professionals, and so forth. But most importantly, we'll be partnering up with my new organization, causeeffect.org. More information on Cause Effect, as this website is currently in development in hopes to feature courses, seminars, tutorials, and conducting surveys that will be featured on the show. As we leave behind 2014, I wish I could say we leave behind issues such as police brutality, youth violence, education, economic mobility, and so many other hot-button topics that made 2014 a difficult year. So what does it mean for the new year? What does it mean for youth policy? What does it mean for Hawaii as a whole? And most importantly, how does it affect you and your community? We want you to tune into the YAP show at 3 p.m. Friday and find out. Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here with Quinn Vittum and Daniel Murrin of Reuse Hawaii, in a very exciting discussion of what they do down there in Kaka'ako in their yard in Reuse Hawaii. We're talking about waste reduction in construction. They're the only ones. They're unique, and they're 501c3. Okay, so now we have some video. We're going to play the video. We're going to go images. We're going to play some photography, and then we'll go to the video after that. So let's have some pictures. And you guys, can you please describe what you see on the screen?
Sure.
Okay, what is that?
Go ahead.
This is a photograph of our offices down in Kaka'ako, which pretty much everything you see there was built from reused materials that we salvaged. So it's just a good example of what can be done with such materials. Quinn, who's that?
Okay, we got
So
that.
Michaela, working out in our processing area, we have a whole separate team dedicated to pulling nails, trimming up edges, making the material that comes from the decon program good and reusable.
Is all of it reusable, or is some of it you have to just chuck?
Sometimes we have to chop ends off. Sometimes we find more termites and inspect for that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you cut it to different sizes to get, to get the waste off?
Yes, lengthwise.
Right, yeah,
yes.
if there's a bad end, split.
The bad end, yeah. Okay, what's this?
This is also processing area where, since we have limited time on site, we have to bring all the material back with the nails still in it. So you can see it stacked up with a special rack that we use.
Waiting to be processed.
Yeah.
Okay, your office is there on that same site?
Yes.
Okay, it's in this building?
Yes.
This is a substantial building. You didn't have this building before, huh?
No, we did. Yeah,
Yeah, this
you
is-
might have. Maybe you saw our original yard. We started. The first year was an outdoor lot at
Yeah,
Point Pan.
that's what I saw.
Okay, yeah. So this is our warehouse home where it's 18,000 square feet inside and 18 out, and the inside is full of doors and windows, cabinets, plumbing and electrical, tile. We have a really fun
Flooring.
hardware section.
Lots of flooring.
Okay, got any more pictures?
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go! Bring me down, can't none
kiln drying it, distributing it.
What's this? This is your,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
teaching a class? What?
Okay, so this is at Punahou. I just thought it was adorable. So Brandon, one of our team leaders, is showing them tools. And look at all their hands. They just can't wait to
They were
be
really
asking
engaged.
questions.
That is
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it was
Whatever
really
you were
fun.
saying, they were in it.
Yeah, yeah, they're really adorable and cute.
And that's your staff?
This is
One
the,
of them, the teams.
yeah, the team that just wrapped up the Punahou project, so they're really proud to do 2 5,000 square foot buildings out there.
Yeah.
So
Tough
that's the
work.
team would be 4.
Yeah, we have Brandon, who's team leader. Chris James was on fire watch because we were doing torching down I-beams.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk was on the machine, and then to the far right, Zach, who was the torch technician.
Okay. Good. So, you know, what comes to mind is that when you do a demolition in order to retrieve the materials, it's not the same as a bashed demolition where you don't care about the materials. Am I right?
Absolutely right.
Takes longer,
Yeah.
requires more skill, more attention. It's like building almost, except
We're building in reverse.
building in reverse.
Yeah.
Because you want to protect everything,
Yeah.
and you want to do any damage. It's a nice kind of attitudinal thing. You
Sure.
go in and you don't want to do damage. Just like Google, you know, it says we don't. What do Google say? We don't. We're not evil. Do no evil.
Right.
I don't know if that's true, but that's what they say. Do no evil.
Right.
So you do no damage.
Yeah. It is very meticulous at times, and yeah, we're building the houses in reverse. So we're starting on the roof and taking them apart in really reverse
That's
order.
cool.
Yeah.
So there's a gratification there all
Sure.
by itself. Maybe it's even more of a gratification than the bash job.
Oh, I think so. I've done both, and I can tell you that the deconstruction's a lot more gratifying.
So now we have a few minutes left. Tell us about the challenges, the problems. What do you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning with? You're the executive
Yes.
director. What do you say?
What are the challenges?
Well, we've just been blessed to have great success in our first 8 years. So really lucky for that, just all the support that we've gotten from the community and the engagement that we've got from the building industry and folks that are reading.
BIA likes you?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. At least I hope.
Well, you're part of the whole fabric of all of that, right?
Right, yeah. So challenges, there's always just a resource crunch, with needing to generate more revenue since it's so expensive to run the operation. But luckily Daniel's really great at managing all that. It's always finding the right people to work on our teams that have a commitment to the environmental mission. Actually, we have a great team right now, but it does take quite a bit of effort to find those right folks that fit in really well and that last for the long term.
Where do you find them? Craigslist?
Yeah, we social media, Craigslist. We just reach out and put it out everywhere. We have a pretty decent social media presence, and so that's the way we do it. You asked about marketing earlier. That's one of the primary
That's gotta
ways
be part of
we
it.
reach out. But to your question, another area of challenge is just greater outreach, greater awareness that we exist. So while we're 7 and going on 8 years in existence, we still need to get out there in front of more people. We're still having people come in every day who it's their first time and they've never heard of us. So we know that we can do more in that regard, and that's one of the areas that we're needing to do more and focus more on in the coming year.
So what kind of person are you looking for? Are you looking for somebody, for example, who's into sustainability? Or just who wants to do hard work in the sun?
Both. Ideally, both. We
A
want someone who
combination.
connects with the mission and also has the gumption to do the labor and hopefully has some construction background because it helps. But to back up just a little, it's not just outreach in terms of finding staff. It's more so outreach in terms of the public knowing about us and coming down and utilizing our programs and buying reused material over new. That's where we're really. I wouldn't say challenge, it's opportunity, and there's still a lot of opportunity.
What's interesting about your job, Daniel, is that you're doing fairly complicated accounting for a nonprofit, because you got a lot of moving parts, a lot of things coming and going, and people and what have you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different than if you were a profit corporation.
Absolutely.
Because it's nonprofit.
Yeah, and I've kind of my professional career has now pretty much been split between the two, almost 50-50, for-profit and nonprofit work. So I'm now morphed into a nonprofit accountant / bookkeeper, and you do think of things differently. It's a very different approach. And while bean counters are always looking at the numbers, I've really learned to think of our organization from different metrics, and mission fulfillment is a big one that we always look at, and which is actually a lot more rewarding. It ends up being a lot more, and it tells a greater story of what we're doing. So yeah, it's complicated, but it's fun.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it. It's a young idea, young organization. Where's the future, Quinn? Where's this going to go? Give me a 5-year, vision here.
5 years, that few?
I'll ask you 10 after that.
Okay.
Well, you want to go start 10 and work back.
I thought you were going to start at 50. Come on, Jay. So we're growing right now, expanding our deconstruction program. We're also developing the warehouse program more, just refining our systems, trying to be more efficient. We're fundraising for some capacity expansion to have more resources so that we can just do more efficient, better work. We want to stay in Kaka'ako for the long run, so we're working on that with OHA and others. And basically our thing is how can we keep as much material out of the landfill and make it a community resource as possible. So yeah, it's going great, and we think we can just do more and more and just make it a incredible thing for the future, and really help the sustainability of not only the building industry, but just the community as a whole.
Do you ever get, since you're a 501c3, public contributions are deductible? Do you ever go out for that? Do you ever get people who come around and say, we really like your work, we're going to give you a unencumbered contribution?
We've had amazing support from Ulupono Initiative, the Omadr family, Atherton Family Foundation. We have really awesome support from Bill Healy Foundation.
Hawaii Community.
The Hawaii Community Foundation.
Right up
course.
the street here.
Yeah. Our latest grant was from Cliff Bar Family Foundation, the folks that make the energy bar.
Yeah.
So that's sort of fun, delicious.
Well, it's great to talk to you guys.
You as well.
You're really healthy and fresh air, that's what it is.
Thanks,
And
Jay.
I wish you well, as I did 7 or 8 years ago, and I continue to wish you well in the future. I hope you can come back and we talk about more, get into greater detail about this, and talk about how it's changing Hawaii. There was a big article in the paper yesterday over housing, affordable housing in particular. Why do I feel you could play a huge role in that going forward?
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you,
sir.
Quinn. Thank you, Daniel.
Nice to meet you.
Wonderful to have you here. Aloha.